In Africa?
Isn't it like somewhere in the Middle East?
In Africa.
In Africa.
Isn't that like next to Australia?
It's in Africa.
I'm sorry?
Darfur.
I don't know.
Darfur is in Africa. I believe it's part of Sudan.
Would you like me to point out the map?
Yes.
Okay. Darfur. It's definitely in the African region. I'm actually not sure where it lies.
I've never heard of Darfur.
Most Americans have heard of Darfur. Many know that people are dying there. But unfortunately, that is the extent of the knowledge that most possess regarding the murder and hatred within Sudan. The Sudanese government hides a large number of the statistics from us, but the most likely that we've been told are that 400,000 have been killed by government-funded militias since 2003. 2.5 million have been forced from their homes, left to wander the barren countryside and die of disease and starvation. And countless more have been tortured and raped. Currently, 500 are dying each day. The question to be asked is, why haven't the governments of the world policed this situation and forced the Sudanese government to stop their reign of terror on their own country? The blame is often laid on the Sudanese government, with good reason, to an extent. But Sudanese resistance would mean nothing if the governments of the world, in a united effort, took active action to put an end to the terrible conditions in the region of Darfur. But let's rewind, because Darfur is not the first place in the world to suffer from the hatred and prejudice that spawns genocide. Rwanda was long comprised of two main races, the Hutus and the Tutsis. When Belgium went into Rwanda to colonize it in the 1880s, they made the Tutsis superior to the Hutus. For 20 years, Tutsis enjoyed better jobs and education than the Hutus were allowed. When the Belgians left the country in 1962, the Hutus took over. Extremely angry and hateful towards the Tutsis, the Hutu orchestrated a mass murder, targeting all Tutsi people, especially the children. In 100 days, between 800,000 and 1 million people were killed at the hands of Hutu murderers.
I am a generation past.
I am past my prime, but my prime is a place
I never wish to return to.
For in my prime, I was tortured.
I was raped. I was killed by the thousands.
I am Rwanda.
I am Rwanda.
What does Rwanda mean to you?
It's a genocide that nobody really cared about or knew about, that didn't get public, or some of it did, but that people just didn't care enough to help out.
Well, not much. I don't know much about Rwanda. I've heard of Hotel Rwanda, but I haven't seen it. I know there's probably a lot of political unrest there, as there are in many African countries. I don't know very many specifics.
Rwanda. After watching Hotel Rwanda, it was a genocide that was happening, and most of the world did not know about it.
When I think of Rwanda, I think of like hearing in the news a number of years ago about the genocide that was going on there.
I am today's generation.
Today, I am constantly being tortured. My people are being killed. There are people who see my pain.
Powerful people.
People who could stop this. Stop this. But most of them don't. And until they do,
Until then, I will
continue to die. Continue to cry. Continue to fear for my life. I am Darfur. I am Darfur. What does Darfur mean to you?
I'm not really sure.
Good. What does Darfur mean to you?
Darfur, I actually do not know much about. I know something is happening there right now, but I'm not 100% sure what.
What does Darfur mean to you?
Darfur also, they know that there are human rights issues going on there having to do with the same type of genocide and issues like that.
What does Darfur mean to you?
I really don't know what Darfur is.
What does Darfur mean to you?
I know there's a genocide going on there right now, and that's about it.
What does Darfur mean to you?
Nothing.
The Sudanese Khartoum government is often pointed to as the sole reason that the peace process in Darfur is at a standstill. Sudan's International Cooperation Minister told a UN news conference that violence still rages because only one rebel group signed the proposed peace deal. Humanitarian aid is blocked from much of the country because of the very violence that the people need relief from. Aid agencies cannot reach hundreds of thousands of people who are in dire need of their assistance. In addition, the Khartoum government is continually postponing the deployment of UN peacekeepers to the region. But in all truth, the Khartoum government's resistance is not what is keeping Darfur in its current state of horror. If the rest of the world, namely the United Nations, put more pressure on Sudan and provided more money, troops, and support, then progress could be made. But with this acknowledgement comes a more disgusting truth. The most prominent reason that the chaos in Darfur continues is the complicated and often selfish web of lies, of politics, of the world's governments. Sudan has little in the way of substantial influence or power to offer the UN. And unfortunately, in the world of politics, the question everyone is constantly asking is, what's in it for me? However, the Khartoum government, which supports the genocide, does have things to offer. Russia, which holds an influential seat in the UN, wants to continue its sale of weapons to Sudan. Russia has supplied large numbers of MiG-29 fighter jets and Mi-24 attack helicopters to not only the government of Sudan, but to the Janjaweed, a rebel group most prominently responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths. China, another influential member of the UN, has a 40% stake in Sudan's oil industry and is the nation's largest investor. They, and Russia, are resisting action against the Sudanese government because of these personal ties.
We also share a commitment to help the people of Africa to build strong democratic institutions and healthy economies. The Prime Minister has made the promotion of reform and development in Africa a centerpiece of the G8 summit. Helping those who suffer and preventing the senseless death of millions of people in Africa is a central commitment of my administration's foreign policy. We're making historic progress in helping the poorest countries in Africa gain a fresh start and to build a future of greater opportunity and prosperity. America will continue to lead the world to meet our duty in helping the world's most vulnerable people. For the past 4 years, we have tripled our assistance to sub-Saharan Africa. And now America accounts for nearly a quarter of all the aid in the region. And we're committed to doing more in the future.
The American people are intelligent. How is it that these atrocities have occurred for so long without widespread knowledge by the people? The answer has two parts. One, the media does not tell us. And two, we as the public do not search for ourselves. The public wants to better things that will affect them. National policy is generally more important than that which will affect people halfway around the globe. Another reason that the public doesn't want to see news about genocide is people, by their very nature, don't want to be bogged down by depressing news constantly. And there are many people who've become aware of the Darfur conflict, but many times people tend to think that they can't make a change in anything so large as genocide. But change does not begin at a national level. The government often must be pushed by its people in order to do what it ought to do by its own good conscience. If the leaders of the world knew that every American citizen was watching their action regarding Darfur, if they were told that how well they responded would be an important deciding factor in their re-election, then there would be much more incentive for them to institute change for Sudan. Thus, it's up to every American citizen to take notice of Darfur, learn about it, and in turn teach others. Press state representatives and national leaders to take notice and act as well. Let them know that there are people watching them, and are not satisfied with their apathetic attitude toward the hideous genocide of Darfur.